クリプトインベストクラブへようこそ。ブロックチェーン、Web3、クリプトのすべてに関する YouTube チャンネルです。
All right. Imagine you create your own blockchain, and as easily as launching a website with like a builder or something. No complicated setup, no massive server infrastructure, just pure control in your hands. Sounds too good? That's exactly what Sasha Ivanov and his team have built with the Units network, which just launched, and its mainnet is preparing for its TGE, or token generation event, on November 1st. But let's dive into it. To understand Units network, we need to go back to 2016. While most people were just discovering Bitcoin, Sasha Ivanov launched Waves, one of the first Layer 1 blockchains. Unlike many projects that emerged during the ICO boom of 2017, Waves had a different vision, making blockchain technology accessible to everyone. At its peak, Waves became the second largest platform for token launches after Ethereum. The reason was simple. It made creating tokens as accessible as possible, as Sasha explained in our interview.
So it's not focused on one narrative. It's not about like RWA or DeFi. You can launch anything, any chains.
Now, in October 2024, Units Network has launched, building on everything learned from Waves. Here's what makes it special. First, it's a Layer 0 network built on top of Waves. Think of Layer 0 as the foundation under a city's road system. It connects everything together. Second, it creates EVM-compatible chains that can communicate with each other. In simple terms, if Ethereum is Windows, Unit Network lets you create your own operating system that can still run Windows programs, like a virtual machine inside of Windows, right? Third, and most importantly, it requires no validator nodes or complex infrastructure, as Sasha explains.
Unique selling proposition is to create a very simple process for launching your own chain. So how it works in Units, you don't need to run your own nodes, which is important.
One of the most fascinating aspects of Units Network is its governance model. The project uses what's called the Power Protocol, which Sasha detailed in our interview too.
Yeah, as I mentioned, we have this Waves DAO based on Power Protocol, and I don't have a lot of voting power in it. So I have some tokens, like 10, and the other is like less than 1% of all governance.
So the votes depend on the amount of capital you have in yourself, and you yourself capital limit, meaning other people have more decision power than you have yourself.
Yeah, I just talk to people, and actually I was able to push through several proposals just by talking to people, actually. So because we have like this difficult situation, and it was pretty
like a blockchain congress.
Yes.
Let's look at some real examples of how a Units network could be used. First, gaming project. Imagine you're developing a blockchain game with units you can propose. So you'd say, here's my gaming project, I'll allocate 5% of the token supply to miners and 1% to the DAO. If the community votes yes, you have your own gaming blockchain in days. And if no, well. And then two, DeFi platforms. Financial projects can launch their own chain with specific parameters for their needs.
And quite frankly, by now, I don't even know how I'm going to be able to unwind this entire trade. Maybe I'll just let this account blow up.
And without worrying about competing for block space on Ethereum, for example. And then third, enterprise solutions. Companies can launch private chains that still benefit from the security and interoperability of the network. These aren't just theoretical. They're happening right now. And the Units network is already processing proposals for new chains. With the mainnet now live and the token generation event coming up on November 1st, Units network is at a crucial moment. The project has already launched several initiatives: a TVL, or Total Value Locked campaign, a testnet campaign where users can earn points, and community governance through the Power Protocol, right?
Yeah, so now what we are doing, we are basically running a marketing campaign now for Units, and it consists of like different parts. One of them is TVL campaign, the other is a testnet campaign, and I think we will have a bit more a bit later. I will explain. So what we do with testnet campaign, we actually ask our users to help us test units. So they need to like make some transactions issue some tokens, like create an account on Units, and for that they get points that will be swapped into Unit0 token when the token launches. Also, we have this like internal campaign on Waves, which basically is meant to incentivize Waves community to participate, and the
It's going to be like one of these campaigns, like the airdrop campaigns, similar ones where I forgot the name though. You have like a gamified sort of dashboard where you can do all kinds of actions like follow, like, share, whatsoever, and you get points in return.
We have it. Yeah, we have it. It's like it's running on Units.Network, and if you don't have any like Waves,
don't use third party, you run it on Units, your own website.
Yeah, we are working. Yeah, so we have this platform. We are working with a marketing company that provided the platform. And actually, if you don't have Waves and you can't participate in TVL campaign, or you don't want to spend any funds, you still can participate in a retro drop campaign.
Putting in a little bit of your time and going for the action.
Yeah, just making some transactions.
So as Sasha notes, as we watch the crypto space evolve, Units.Network represents something bigger than just any other blockchain project. It's about making this technology truly accessible to everyone who wants to use it. And if you want to learn more or participate in the upcoming TGE or token generation event on November 1st, so basically now, visit Units.Network. Literally Units.Network. And let me know per DM, like on my X, what you think about this approach to blockchain development. The comment section stays off until we find a good anti-spam and phishing bot that actually works on scale. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into groundbreaking crypto projects. Full, uncut interview with Sasha Ivanov.
Hi, Joey.
Check. 1, 2, 3. Fantastic.
Hi.
So
okay,
please introduce yourself and the project. Let's start there.
Yeah, hi guys, I'm Sasha Ivanov. I'm founder of Waves blockchain, and currently we're launching a new platform on top of Waves. Waves is one of the first layer ones, and what we're doing now, we are creating an ecosystem of interconnected layers on top of Waves base layer. So we're launching this project around September, and I would like to introduce the project to you and maybe elaborate on a couple interesting points.
Awesome. All right, then let's get right into it. We have a few questions for the main. So we'll start with the history and development of Waves, what happened in the past, the current situation, and the future. But we'll keep it short. All of the details we'll have in the papers, in the description, and of course on the website. But to give a short summary on the past, present, and future.
Yeah, so Waves, as I said, is like one of the first layer ones. It was launched in 2016, so it's like a very OG chain. Ethereum was launched probably in 2015. Waves was launched in 2016, before big crypto hype of 2017. So there was some kind of like time frame
hype
after Ethereum, and before ICO hype, and several projects were launched. Then not only Waves, but several other projects like NEM, for example, or IOTA were launched in that time frame. So yeah, and actually, as for the ICO hype, Waves was launched before, but it was very easy to launch a token on Waves, and I think it still is, actually. I think this is the most accessible platform if you want to launch your own token, even now. And back then, it was pretty important. It was my idea to make this process really easy for people so that they could understand what the blockchain was about. And I think it's a very nice way to understand what you can do with a blockchain if you launch your own token. So people launched a lot of tokens on Waves in 2017, and afterwards, at a certain point in time, Waves was like the second largest platform for ICOs after Ethereum, actually. So in 2017, I think like people raised quite a bit of money on Waves, launching Waves tokens. So if it worked out for us well, it's hard to say, probably not so much, because a lot of those tokens were not serious, a lot of scams. So But on the other hand, as some kind of evangelism and some kind of like education, it was good because people could like play with blockchain, launch their own tokens. They could see what they can do, and I think so all in all, it was maybe not so bad. So after that, we were like focusing on many other things, also enterprise blockchain. We launched like a lot of enterprise projects. Waves was launched in Russia. The whole team stays there most of the time, like at the beginning. Now Waves is not in Russia. Like all yeah. Now Waves is like spread all over the world, and I'm not Russian. I'm Ukrainian actually. So I left Russia a couple of years ago when situation between Russia and Ukraine started. But we had a lot of interesting projects in Russia in enterprise chain. Like,
if I may interrupt you real quick,
yeah.
If there comes a peace deal, are you planning to return to Russia with your team?
No, I'm not sure it's feasible. No, I don't think it's going to happen in the near future, unfortunately. So, and I'm pro-Ukrainian. I'm not like, I won't return to Russia because I think Russia has major issues, as many other countries in the world now. So it's not the problem of Russia, So there is this like crisis of governance all over the world, and Russia is just like more prone to it, So, but you can see the same shit all over the world currently. Yeah. So I think we need to change the governance. So that's why I'm really interested in our models, because I think like real world governance is very bad. It's too centralized basically, and democracies are not working anymore. So it's a bad problem. So like back to Waves history. So we had like different things on Waves. Enterprise projects, like there was a separate direction for enterprise. Also, we launched a lot of DeFi stuff on Waves, and Waves was always different. So it's like in terms of what you can do, it's a bit similar to Ethereum, but technically it was like built from scratch. And we always tried to explore other directions, not to do what other projects are doing, but maybe like do something that is different, So it might even not be so successful, but I think it's important to
algorithm and doing what everyone does, trying to add a little bit of an edge, go a complete different route, like the Steam.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I think it's important. This was our mission: try different things, Because there was this mainstream for blockchain development, which came probably from Ethereum. I don't like Ethereum too much. I think it's a solid chain, but nothing fancy. So I always try to do something different.
A big proponent of the standard 20-based project, I assume.
Yeah, maybe like we were not always successful. But this was like, you don't change your mission, So if you stick to something, you have to. You have to go with it, So,
right?
Sorry.
All right.
Could you repeat? Yeah.
Yeah. Now, for the future, it'll be the same. Try to innovate and actually go.
Yes, absolutely. And what we are doing with Units now, so I this is mostly based on my perception of scalability in blockchain and the end game for blockchain tech. I think we will be finishing the cycle of blockchain technology development that started with Bitcoin, not Waves, but like we in general, and there is this approach to blockchain scalability, which is based on layers, layer 2s based on top of base layer, which is like the only promising approach to resolving blockchain scalability. There is other approaches, something like Solana, but they're like less decentralized. They're valid, but less decentralized. So I think that we are close to the end game for blockchain scalability. And what I want to do, I just want to turn Waves into this platform that achieves this first. So this is what we are doing now. And in terms of like some kind of like unique selling proposition, what we want to do, we want to enable a very simple launch process for your own blockchain. It's not so easy to launch your own chain now, even your own L2. It's pretty sophisticated. A lot of projects need block space, blockchain, and we want to make this process very simple.
Quick question: can you see my video properly? My video feed?
It's frozen.
It's frozen. Okay, don't worry about that. I can always. My voice is being recorded sepautely, and I'll fix the video post if necessary. But give me a minute to try and see what's wrong here, real quick.
Sure. Take your time.
Unusual.
No worries. I'm here.
Okay, so that would be the phase one. That one's black, and that one should be the Osmo Pocket. Okay. I will just take a quick minute to see what's going on here.
Sure.
It might be because we're recording this call that it doesn't like external web cameras, but I do like to go with higher quality. Let's see.
Yeah, take your time, Joey. Yeah. No rush.
Fantastic. For any footage we might have lost, I can always add that in post. As long as your footage is there, that's not an issue at all. That's also what we can cut.
Okay.
The MacBook has no problem detecting it, as well as using its native camera like this one, but it doesn't look that good and it's quite a bit blurry. So I'd like to switch to the Osmo Pocket, but it doesn't allow the switch now for some reason. Let's try a quick restart on the camera. And if that doesn't work, I'll just record separately and edit it in post. So the camera would just record by itself. You wouldn't be able to see me then, but I can just.
Okay, Jerry.
Don't worry. That I had that before when I switched to computer once.
Now I can see you actually. Yes.
Yeah. So you're gonna see me with the regular webcam, but for the video itself, I'm gonna use the Osmo Pocket, which has way higher quality. But right now, for some reason, Google Meets doesn't accept the webcam feed from. Using Osmo Pocket as an external webcam doesn't work right now. So we're going to record it twice, and then in the edit, I'm going to lay it on top.
Okay, clear.
You're like, it's the view from above. For me, it's like a proper quality interview, CoffeeZilla style here, right?
Okay.
Switch the computer to a MacBook just the other week, and there you have it. Windows to the Mac. I'm joking. All right. Let's get back to questions. Sorry for the distraction.
Okay. No, it's okay. Take your time. No rush. No hurry.
It's all recording. All is perfect.
Yeah.
All right. That was quite a long overview. I'm of course gonna cut it a bit, and I'm gonna make a bunch of timestamps as well as subtitles. So there might be some follow-ups just in case. If we need a follow-up, like a second quick call for something that might be missing, is that okay with you? Just asking right now.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, take your time. No worries.
Cool. And let's talk about the connection between Units and Wave, because a lot of users will probably not even know if that's a separate entity, if that's like a daughter company, what the relationship is like, especially the new users that you might get.
Basically, Units is an extension to Waves ecosystem because it uses Waves blockchain as the base layer. And basically, it builds an ecosystem of interconnected chains on top of a Waves base layer. So this is what we're doing, actually. So basically, they are two parts of the whole, basically. We have base layer and we have layers connected to it. So they are inseparable.
Got it. Just to clarify, my camera's over here. That's why I kind of look like I keep staring in the corner. All right, awesome. Now, the script I got says issues and challenges, but that could mean basically anything. So I'm going to replace that with a few more direct questions, such as regulatory problems you might have run into. Obviously, you heard the big news from FTX all the way to CX, all the arrests, all the issues we have with regulatory bodies. But we also have the upsides with the SEC now granting one and the other, let's say, recessions almost, right? They take a few steps back.
Mhm.
We can have presidential candidates like RFK saying that they would dip into Bitcoin, Trump saying they would dip into Bitcoin. Then we have the situation in Japan with the historical fluctuation from yen. Used to be dollar, 100 yen, now it's exploding. And even the most boomer person in Japan is waking up to alternatives. That includes, of course, crypto on a large scale. So how is your picture in this? What's your position in this? What are you expecting with the coming changes? A lot of people expect right now market down, problems, but many agree that
I don't expect anything good, to be honest. So because I think crypto has become a part of like traditional finance and economy. So there are like crypto assets are mostly of like speculative nature right now. So at the beginning, people thought that Bitcoin was some kind of a hedge against other assets. So like if a traditional market performs,
Sure. and they
then
ended up performing
Bitcoin,
much
yeah.
the same, right?
Yeah, but
when you-
now it's like it converged into one. So it's just like speculative assets. So Bitcoin is no hedge, although I think in terms of like performance, it will perform better. Because it's like
clarify, you expected to have higher margins for higher performance, more percentages, but you don't think it's going to move disproportionately to, say, the S&P 500 or the American dollar or gold or anything. You think it's going to act pretty much the same way, going up or down, but you think it's going to
yeah, it's gonna be less volatile actually. Then maybe it won't go down as much as S&P, because I think it will go down. So. So because this narrative of like finance supply is not played out yet. So people will still be buying Bitcoin, digital gold. I'm not so sure about Ethereum, for example, because that narrative of like world computer is not so straightforward, and it's harder for people to understand. But digital gold is very simple. Simple narrative, good narrative, and in terms of like investment potential, Bitcoin will probably perform not so shabby. Yeah. So, but otherwise, crypto turned into just some kind of like speculative, purely speculative.
It's not just about speculating or making a profit. Well, it is an option. You're more looking on the development side of things, and with how things are right now, it might be a little bit challenging. Even though we still have all of the big events coming up, like Token 2049.
Yeah, but kind of development is like inseparable from what you develop for, because currently we're developing for like some kind of like glorified retail forex. So if you remember forex, it was something that people traded a lot on very high margin before crypto. Because I remember it quite well, and it was like because people just lost money. They just like kept losing money at forex, because it's very hard to make money. When you use like huge leverage, probably you will lose money. And now we're just building for some kind of new generation of that global trading platform where people on average lose money. So I don't think that you can separate development from this, because you need to understand what your development will be used for. And I think we need to get back to the roots of decentralization, because there is like two streams in crypto. There is a very strong financial stream, which Bitcoin essentially is, but there is like maybe weaker stream of decentralization, of like creating DAOs, of like creating some kind of like decentralized organizations, and it's largely forgotten. So we have some DAOs in crypto, but they are very rudimentary, I would say. And I think it's time to get back to those roots and try to create some big DAOs which unite like hundreds of thousands of people all over the world, and that would create some kind of like alternative to traditional governance models. And I think it's very important now, because otherwise crypto would just be some kind of speculative asset And in this case, I don't see a lot of like prospects for anything but Bitcoin and maybe Ethereum. So, and that's it. And all the rest, like all other projects, would just they would like become big for a certain period of time, and they would just disappear later. So this is going to be some kind of like endless pump and dump cycle, because for people to have something to trade with. And for example, I'm talking to some marketing companies, and for them, actually, it's easier to launch a meme coin than to work with a serious infrastructure project, because it's complicated and they don't make as much money. If they launch a meme coin, it's very simple. You have like KOLs. You reach out to KOLs. KOLs post some like tweets.
Yeah.
You make money, and it's all good. But if you are trying to create some value in terms of technology, if in their view it's not clear why you should do that, because probably you would make less money, and there is a lot of effort. So it's easier to launch a meme coin. So I think it's very
and essentially all centralized, and the other side is an actual decentralized project. It'd be like akin to comparing a casino to the Olympics, probably.
Yeah. You're right. So it's a little bit strange, I would say. It's a little bit weird what is happening, but so the crypto is a part of like global picture, and what we have in the world now is very far from normal. So crypto is not supposed to be anything else, meaning because everything else is broken, so why crypto shouldn't be broken? It's broken as well.
Certainly. Let's throw in a few speed questions. Again, I'm going to cut the video quite a bit, right? So I'm also going to organize it chronologically whenever we get a bit out of, I like to be a bit scatterbrained with the raw footage, so we have more to work with later. Some stuff we cut out, sometimes we rearrange things. And I want to have quick questions too, especially because it's not just the interview in the video, but also other content about the project to present it, show opportunities and downsides. And I want to also throw in very short, snappy questions there too, right? Stuff like,
okay,
where should I put my money into Waves? Or I'm from Web 2, I have no idea. Tell me in one line what this is, right? Like stuff like that. Let's start with a few questions, right? Let's say I'm from Web 2, meaning average internet user. I have a couple K. I want to get in on that blockchain stuff. Wave is something I looked at, but I don't understand it. Why should I put money into this? What is this?
You shouldn't put money if you don't understand what it is. So because people are putting money blindly now in crypto, and this is something that I am strongly opposed to.
That's very good.
Yes, and people ask, why should we trust you? So, and I always say, guys, please don't trust me. Don't trust me, please, because blockchain technology is supposed to be trustless. So I'm not gonna somehow like make sure that you trust me. You need to trust the technology.
Are people that you want people to really understand the project and only put money into it if they actually understand it, participate in it if they know what this is about. You don't want complete outsiders, non-tech people, non-devs, people who have no clue what this is.
Yeah, it's really ironic actually, because people are forgetting about the roots, because blockchain was promising like some kind of trustless approach to creating new projects, to basically to everything. And now people are like asking for trust. They're like, we don't trust you, we trust that guy, and we will invest in this but in that token. But it's crazy, because the very idea of blockchain was to get rid of trust, and now it's all based on trust. So it's really ironic, and something
investor. And I just look at the graph on the market, CoinMarketCap, something like that. I'm not interested in anything, not fundamental research. I don't even want to understand it. Be it meme coins, be it serious projects. What if all I do is do some technical analysis of your price chart? Would you still rather have me stay away from your project?
Yeah. So Waves, in terms of like market capitalization, is not doing too well now, and we're not gonna like try to hide this. We had some issues when FTX situation and Luna situation were happening. We had similar problems. We had a stable coin which was a bit similar to Luna. Absolutely independent. It was launched before Luna, but the setup was somewhat similar. And it also has this problem of depegging, and we have been struggling with the situation for the last couple of years. So what we are doing now, we are trying to move forward, and at the same time, we are trying to resolve the problems that we had before. So we are trying to combine both, because people are asking why you just don't like try to pay the money back that we're stuck in the process.
When you talk about your low market cap and how you don't want people to invest and how you focused on actually building something, isn't that all an incentive to do pretty much the opposite and actually try to speculate on the project, since that's the polar opposite of what you would expect from, say, a meme coin?
Sure, I want people to understand what we do. Otherwise, I don't want them to invest, and I don't want them to trust me blindly. If they trust me for some reason, it's fine, but I'm not asking for trust, and this is something that the hill I will die on, So blockchain was supposed to be
don't talk about Waves Club.
Yeah, sure. And you need to understand what you invest in and what tokens you buy. If you go buy some meme coin, it's pure gambling, right? Or you just like the picture, the avatar, the meme itself, and you buy it because you have some kind of emotional attachment. It's fine. It's not an investment. It's a game, So you don't trust it, But in meme coins, you need to trust, because there's people don't understand that there is a lot of ways to rock a meme.
Yeah,
coin.
of course, manipulating it. Developers have all the control. Most people involved have no idea about the smart contracts running in the background and so on. But that's
a trust. You need to trust. That's where this idea of trust comes from, because there is so many ways to run it. You can just withdraw liquidity from the pool. There is some backdoor, or you can buy most of the supply with a sniper bot and then just dump into the market.
Exactly.
Hundreds of ways to do it, and it's really hard for people to understand. So they need to trust. So this is something that I see as a big problem. So if you invest in something, you need to understand what you invest in. Otherwise, just stay away.
I perfectly agree with that. Let's jump to the next thing with issues and challenges we haven't talked about yet. But I want to mix in events. You mentioned you're not really all too keen about the big events coming up. Am I seeing this right? You're not attending, you're just focusing on development, but we're not going to see waves anywhere from Token 2049 to CoinFest to Decentralization.
We'll be there. We'll be there. Yeah, I'm going to be in Turkey for Istanbul Blockchain Week. Then I'll go to Korea, I think, and Singapore as well. Yeah, because I need to...
specifically, if someone wants to actually shake your hand, talk about a project with you, maybe some, person to person, especially VCs who might be interested in bigger investments, they probably want to talk nitty-gritty details, bring their developers to really test you, right? Where can they meet you? What events would be suitable?
I'm most of the time in Dubai now, so I'm coming and going, but most of the time I'm in Dubai because we moved here out of Russia and we had an office here. So yeah, before the situation started. So I'm kind of
So Singapore is probably a bit far for you.
No, Singapore is fine. I'm going to be there in September. We're going to have a side event or something there. So I'm always, it's we have not worked with VCs yet in our history, but now we are trying to. So I'm trying to pitch the project to VCs now. So we are taking a more traditional route because we've never raised any VC money yet. But now, so we're trying to do that. Let's see how it goes. At least I'll probably learn something new, how to deal with VCs. Because for me, it's a bit opaque, So I think VCs might be good, but in crypto, their role was not so useful for the development of crypto world, So because everything changed when VCs came in 2017, and it became just all about the money, Because for them it's a very easy way to exit their investment. Crypto allow them to do it really fast, because in TradFi you need to wait more, so like, because it's
Well, usually there's contracts, smart contracts, even just
Proper-
simple docs.
and here just you can like exit, you can make an exit in half a year, basically. So it's
Right.
really
You
fast.
do have contracts or even just documents, agreements. They make the periods rather short.
Yeah. It's investing. Yeah, it's vested most of the time,
Not
but they're like
Yes.
crazy, So, and people are asking now. So this is not my topic. So usually I'm not very keen on like discussing like market trends, but people don't understand that we won't have those like bull runs, because VCs are selling like crazy. They have the tokens investing, and they just when the tokens are unlocked, they are selling them immediately. So the price suppression is really high. Because they get those tokens with a huge discount, so they don't need to wait for a higher price. Basically, any price is good for them, because they got them with a huge discount. So they are selling like crazy. So, and it has like, as a whole, it creates some kind of like selling pressure, and basically it kills all those bull runs that we had before, because we had some kind of a bull run like this year, but it wasn't like a proper bull run, and people were asking whether it was like a real bull run, because there was no like
Almost 70, then down again, up again. We have a bit of a McDonald's curve right now.
Yeah. So it's not like it's over. I think we won't see those bull runs. Maybe some tokens will perform better, than the others, but we won't have this like bull run for all the tokens, that we had when FTX was active, so it was like crazy pumps of like BNB. If you remember, BNB like just went from, I don't know, $5 to 600, so it won't happen again, So, but it's going to be more.
As they say, the stupid money is gone now.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about your community.
Mhm.
This is a bit more critical. Now, obviously, you have a great community, you build it over time, and so on. We all know that. But are you filtering and auditing your community for the likes of bots, fakers, manipulative stuff, the hired community? Because many projects, especially when they have large communities on, say, Twitter, Telegram, typical, they don't really have the capacity or willingness to actually, swing the ban hammer occasionally to really filter it out, to actually have this quality, but rather they drive their engagement by just purchasing it. What do you say to that kind of stuff?
No, actually, I'm not blocking anyone, for example, because as I mentioned briefly, we had those issues a couple of years ago, and we had a lot of FUD. There was like also some kind of a FUD campaign against Waves, because there was like a lot of shorters and shorters groups that made money with shorting Waves, and they initiated those shorts by like creating some FUD. So, and I didn't block anyone actually, and I also created some kind of like group for them to have them in one place. It was like Waves FUD. It still exists. And I was like talking to all those guys there, and everybody could message me on Telegram. So I think it's quite important not to ban anyone. Only you should ban spammers, because they just like they just kill the communication. Right. But if there is some FUD, you need to deal with it. Probably to a certain extent. When it becomes like too repetitive, you should.
Exclude anyone who want to get rid of critics, but at the same time, if it's blatant bots and manipulating spammers, advertisements, you do occasionally have a community manager.
Spam is bad. Spam is just it just kills communication. And for example, I don't have any accounts banned on Twitter, for example, so everybody can follow me on Twitter, and I never did that. So, and in terms of like community, I think it's very important to create some kind of like decentralized governance models, which will propel your community and will make it somehow like self-sufficient. So this is what we are doing, and we've been doing this for 2 years. We're developing a DAO protocol on Waves. It's called Power Protocol. And everything on Waves runs on this DAO protocol. So funding, so we had major issues with like funding when the situation with stablecoin happened. So basically, decentralization saved Waves because it allowed us to move forward. Basically, it provided some kind of like funding streams because community voted for the projects to be funded, and they were funded with the DAO funds. So decentralization works, and I think Wave's history has proven that so it works as a business model. So because otherwise we wouldn't be able to move forward with development. And it's a pretty interesting approach to DAOs because it's different from traditional approach. Basically, you have some kind of accountability for decisions. So there is some KPI set at DAO launch. And if this KPI is met, users who voted for different decisions in the DAO are rewarded with tokens, like in different ways, depending on the DAO. And if those KPIs are not met, they are being slashed, punished. Basically, their governance power is taken from them, so they won't be able to vote. Yeah. I think it's very important. It's like you have a very like naive DAO model. It's called simple DAO model, which works in most DAOs. And this is the next step. So it doesn't solve everything, I think, but it's a good step in the right direction. When people have some kind of
right. It's like instead of just building a small community of sorts, you're almost more on the society step. If you reach a level where you have thousands upon thousands of people, you eventually going to have different factions with different ideologies and ideas.
Yeah.
That goes as far for a whole nation as far as for a small project as well. In our case,
exactly. Yeah. So it's a very interesting topic that you brought up about like different factions, and I think we are trying to create some like common narrative, So and the question is whether it's possible to create one common narrative for all those factions, because you can see that now the world is like breaking into like different pieces, So even like in the US, or you have polarization, and you have like basically two factions that are gonna kill each other, I think, So. And I think we need to think about some kind of like common narrative for all those factions that would bring them together. And that narrative of like common governance, so not based on factions, but based on some kind of like direct democracy, So you don't have to belong to a certain political party to participate in governance.
Yeah.
As for example, in Switzerland, they have like,
you have a system where instead of a representative, you have direct democracy, the more Swiss model. Still down to the individual voting power of the individual, right? Like
exactly. They don't have to party.
Yeah.
So I think it brings people together. That like model of direct democracy has a chance to bring people closer and to get rid of those like separation and those really dangerous trends that we are facing now. So so I believe in I think it's worth trying and create some kind of like DAO-based model for real world governance that would actually have millions of people in it. So I would really love to do that. And I think I'll give it a try. If I'm successful with Units, I need to launch this. And in parallel, we're working on this DAO model, and we're preparing some launches for our Power protocol as well.
On the keyword of Units, how does the Units network integrate with platforms like Ethereum and Solana? It did sound like a bit, you have a bit of a distance towards Ethereum, especially talking about the universally ERC20 protocol-based projects, right?
Yes, actually, Units is gonna solve this problem because Waves is not EVM compatible, but Units will. So basically, you will be able to create an Ethereum compatible chain if you launch on Units. So Units is an ecosystem of interconnected EVM chains, and we are doing that on purpose. I think EVM is a very valid approach. It doesn't resolve like scalability or anything else, but this is something that became some kind of industry standard. So we should deal with it, So not trying to invent something new because it's good. It's good. So it's good enough, So everybody uses it. So it's much easier for developers to start coding in Solidity because there is a lot of books, resources, and tools and IDEs, whatever. So Waves is not EVM compatible, but all those chains will be. And it's pretty interesting. It's an interesting approach. Like base layer is not Ethereum compatible, but all connected layers are. It's interesting. So I think this will resolve this problem of like compatibility with Ethereum. And maybe this is not like the end of the world if you are not compatible with Ethereum, as Solana has proven, I guess. So and Waves has been doing not so like badly as well either for years, So and a lot of developers were developing on Waves, although it's totally different from Ethereum. But as I said, it's like an industry standard. Let's just support it, and that's it. And it's not so important what smart contract language approach you use, because the problem with blockchain is scalability. Now you can't really make some kind of revolution by creating a new smart contract language. It won't change anything. Just like you have different programming languages. You have like Go, Rust, whatever. So, but it's like some people like code in Go, other people code in Rust, other people code in C++. And it's a matter of like preference, So that's it more or less. So the same here, smart contract languages are various, and basically they are similar. The problem with blockchain is scalability, and this is what we should be working on.
What would you say is the #1 reason to choose Units over any other platform?
Yeah, so my goal in terms of like my unique selling proposition is to create a very simple process for launching your own chain. So how it works in Units, you don't need to run your own nodes, which is important. And it's all based on this like DAO model. You just have to make a proposal in the ecosystem DAO and offer some incentives for miners and for the DAO. For example, you have some kind of like a GameFi project, and you need your own chain for it. And you have a token, obviously. So you are saying, guys, so I have this token, I have like the big gaming community that will be playing my game. And I will basically allocate like 5% of supply to the miners and 1% of the supply to Units DAO if you support me. And you make this proposal, you have to lock some tokens, some Unit 0 tokens when you're making this proposal. And if community likes your proposal, it votes for you, and your chain like gets activated in a few days. And you don't need to do anything else. Actually, you have your own chain, which is supported by existing community. There is bridges to other chains and to external ecosystems. You have everything basically. And you can also get some funding from the DAO, because Units DAO will have 10% of Unit token supply. So this is everything you need to get your project running, actually.
What would you say are minimum requirements for a project? If, do they need one developer, Solidity? Let's say the minimum requirements in a few sentences.
Yeah, you need to have a good idea, and you could have a small team of like a couple coders, and I think you have a very good chance to even get some funding from Units DAO, like some kind of a grant. Maybe you won't get your own chain immediately, but you will be able to create a prototype, and then the community will vote for your chain, and they will have your own chain. So this process can be like, it can go in stages. It doesn't have to be everything at once.
Like submitting a proposal and the community votes on it. And if the community likes it, there might be a grant voted on.
Exactly. And if you're an established project, if you have your prototype, you can launch your own chain. And in this case, miners will support you, and they will get some allocation in your token. And it's very interesting for Waves miners, because they will be able to support multiple chains and earn the tokens of all those chains. So this creates some kind of like.
When was the last time that happened?
Sorry.
When was the last time this happened? What was the last project that got a grant from Units?
Yeah, but the Units is launching, so it hasn't happened yet. So the first chain in the Units ecosystem is launching in September. So let me elaborate a little.
Let me cut that because it will sound a bit weird. Let me rephrase that. So we're launching in September, right?
Yes, we're launching in September. So we're launching Unit 0. This is the first chain in this new ecosystem. And its token, Unit 0, will also serve as the governance token of the ecosystem DAO. So in order to participate in governance, you will need to lock Unit 0 in the DAO. And in this case, you will be able to earn the tokens of the projects that want to launch on Units. So as I explained, if you want to launch a project, you just allocate some tokens to the DAO and to the miners, and you allocate them in some kind of vesting process, and they're being like distributed to the miners who support your chain and to the DAO. So basically, this creates for the DAO participant, this creates some kind of like chain of incentives. When you have Unit 0, you lock it, you participate in governance, and you earn more tokens. So the idea is to create a self-propelling ecosystem which doesn't need to have any foundations even, because everybody has a foundation. It does not require a foundation. It shouldn't require a foundation. It should be all based on a fully decentralized governance model, where the community vets the projects, distribute the grants. If something goes wrong, they can basically kill off those chains, just like turn them off. So there is of course some like checks and balances in place that should make this model like safe, So, but the idea is exactly this: to make an ecosystem which is like properly decentralized, not just on paper but in reality.
Gotcha. Bit of a curveball, the TVL, or Total Value Locked campaign. Can we mention that one?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, so now what we are doing, we are basically running a marketing campaign now for Units, and it consists of like different parts. One of them is TVL campaign, the other is testnet campaign, and I think we will have a bit more a bit later. I will explain. So what we do with testnet campaign, we actually ask our users to help us test Units. So they need to like make some transactions, issue some tokens, like create an account on Units, and for that they get points that will be swapped into Unit 0 token when the token launches. Also, we have this like internal campaign on Waves, which basically is meant to incentivize Waves community to participate, and the
It's going to be like one of these campaigns, like the airdrop campaigns, similar ones where I forgot the name though. You have like a gamified sort of dashboard where you can do all kinds of actions like follow, like, share, whatsoever, and you get points.
Yeah, we have it. Yeah, we have it. It's like it's running on Units.Network, and if you don't have any like Waves,
don't use third party, you run it on Units, your own website.
Yeah, we are working. Yeah, so we have this platform. We are working with a marketing company that provided the platform. And actually, if you don't have Waves and you can't participate in TVL campaign, or you don't want to spend any funds, you still can participate in a retro drop campaign.
Putting in a little bit of your time and going through the action.
Yeah, just making some transactions.
It's gonna run on the Units website, but you're using a marketing company, right? A third-party company.
Yeah. So we have a pretty small team now, so we're working with like different partners. I think I'm gonna.
Gotcha. Did they set up questions and actions and help you with preparing the campaign, but you still run everything natively? It's not on a separate website or something.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna create, so because we at some point I think we had like 300 developers like working in a pretty centralized way. Most of them in the same office. It was like 5 years ago. Yeah. And I just don't want to do that again because I want to create some kind of like decentralized structures. So we have some core team developers, some marketing, but I think I'm going to be working with different agencies because it's more efficient, and you don't need to create those like centralized structures where you control everything. You can just work with agencies. I think this is the right approach. And it's also
You
cheaper.
prefer it to be more on a one-off basis, so you can judge on performance, vote on results, and then take it from there rather than just burning for retainer. All right, so we wanted to talk a bit about the marketing side of things. What are you doing in terms of marketing right now? For example, there's some that pay, Meta ads, Facebook, Instagram. There's people that run banners on crypto forums or even 4chan. There's press releases. There's organic content like video snippets or, our video right now where we talk about things. And then there's also more guerrilla campaigns or swag, events, booths. There's all these varieties, but all of them usually burn funds, right?
Yeah, we are trying not to burn funds. No, of course, so we are trying to be lean and efficient. So I think retro drops marketing approach is interesting. Maybe you understand that you understood that I don't like everything that is happening in crypto now, but the retro drops are fine because how they work. Basically, they get the users to use your product. They do something like making transactions on your new chain or making some swaps, and they basically help you test the network. And for that, they get some kind of like reward when you have launched that token. So this is what we are doing, and I think this is like the cornerstone of our campaign. People help us test the testnet out, and they will get some retro drop based on the points they have earned. And for people who might have some waves or maybe other assets, currently we run TVL campaign for waves. Maybe we'll be able to run a campaign for stable coins and other assets. I'm not so sure about that because I think we will launch around September, so not so much time for that. But if you have waves, if you're like an active member of like Waves community, you can just take some waves in a smart contract. You will take it back, so you don't have to spend it. You just need to stake it in the contract, and you get some points as well, and you'll be able to swap them into zero. Yeah, basically it's pretty simple. And I think we will also have some.
To summarize, marketing right now is a few incentive campaigns for people to actually use and experience the product. But other than that, you're not really spending anywhere. You just want people to really actually use it.
Exactly. So
you're not going to have a booth at an event or anything like that people can approach.
Yes, just marketing. I don't think you need to like spend a lot of money on that. Because, for example, when I launched Waves, I also did an ICO campaign. It was very long ago, so it was totally different. But I don't remember spending basically anything on it because
you always have to spend, right? It can also be that you're a speaker at an event just because you got an important update to tell the world about.
Yes. So what else we do actually is traditional, our traditional things. So we are doing some like press releases, as you mentioned. We are doing some traditional PR, like articles and such, because as I mentioned a couple of times, Waves had major issues a couple of years ago, and we need to make sure that people understand that we are alive, and they need to understand what we do, So because otherwise they will just think that, okay, guys, so you're gonna scam us and stuff like that. I'm trying to explain, guys. So we haven't scammed you, and we are just dealing with a situation that emerged a couple of years ago. It's still not resolved, but we are moving forward, and we made some progress. And everything that we do is meant to resolve that situation. So you can't just, resolve without doing anything. I need to create new value, and that value can be used to basically resolve all those issues. And yeah, so that's why we are doing some kind of PR. I'm doing like interviews with yourself. Yeah. So
value dropped a bit, but it's fine. Hodl it because we're working on it, and you also show that you're working on it and provide some proof. any marketing is more towards attracting users who are actually then going to experience it, rather than just speculating on it or going the meme coin route, or even just throwing it into a bunch of assets that it may or may not. Yeah, like
Exactly. And I think Units will give a huge boost to Waves because it will attract a lot of projects, and it's an agnostic project, so it's not focused on one narrative. It's not about like RWA or DeFi. You can launch anything on Units, any chain. So I think that several chains will be launched immediately, like AI chains on Units. Yeah, and it's gonna give us a huge boost. So you'll see different projects on Waves immediately, and for miners it's very interesting because they get to profit from all those chains, from all those launches, and it creates like a new approach to mining when you mine on different chains in some kind of like yield farming for miners. When you can use the same balance of Waves token to mine on different chains and to earn on different chains. It's very interesting. So APY can be like in double digits for miners, which is really interesting. And I think it's going to be sustainable, because if one chain doesn't perform well, you can switch to another. So I think
as miners who might run on whatever they do, they can always switch to a different project that just gives them more return on their, well, literal mining, right?
Yeah, exactly. So this like double-digit APY can actually hold, So yeah, so it's very interesting. And
your mining is based on what configuration? There's
it's a proof of stake. Waves was like one of the first proof of stake chains in existence, and we were like proof of stake from the beginning. Of course, long before Ethereum. It's a different proof of stake.
Yeah, no hardware. It's all about the capital.
No hardware. Yeah. So I believe in proof of stake. Yeah, because it's if you wanna launch something decentralized, proof of stake is the way to go. So if you want to launch something very specific, like Bitcoin, yeah, proof of work could do the trick. But there can be only one big proof of work network, which is Bitcoin. So I don't think there is any kind of room for any other proof of work chains, because there's some kind of like network effect, and everybody's going to be mining on one chain. So Bitcoin has occupied this niche. Proof of work is very wasteful. They spend like tons of electricity. It's not very.
Well, eventually they're going to run out of Bitcoin to mine. So you could make an argument that at some point this proof of work for Bitcoin technically ends, and the next one could step up.
Exactly, and it's tricky because when we will once we've had like several more halvings, it's not so clear where the profits will be coming from, because Bitcoin will have to.
The usual argument is transactions come with fees, and that's what
it's not happening. Not happening, unfortunately. So they could do that if they relaxed some condition that like self-imposed on Bitcoins. For example, they don't have like any kind of like meaningful scripting there. Scripting is really they have a scripting language, but it's not like.
Talk about scripts. Let's ask the Roger Ver question, right? There is the small block team and the big block team. Right?
And they have to be like more open to basically supporting some smart, like without going into too much technical detail. They need to support smart contracts natively in some way. Maybe it's limited. Maybe they will just need to verify, to be able to verify, for example, zero-knowledge proofs directly on Bitcoin chain.
You're not a big proponent of, say, the Lightning Network, for example, because it's a workaround. And
Lightning, it's not like fully functional, because you can just send transactions and you can do proper DeFi there. So they have to relax those like self-imposed limitations. And I think they will sooner or later.
To include more transactions is something you would sign off on.
Yes. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to support Solidity, for example. But it has to support something, So
you think this is arbitrary, limiting oneself to a 1 megabyte block is just not functional, not practical.
Yes, or they have to support those like setups, for example, optimistic consensus. Also, they might be like verify zero-knowledge proofs directly on chain, and that would open up a lot of opportunities for Bitcoin, I think. Otherwise, yes,
The argument exactly here. Let's say we have this situation unfolding on Units where everybody does vote for that, which goes against what you had envisioned, but it's what the majority votes for. In this situation, you would still go along with that?
Sure, but this is like, yes. So in Waves, it's pretty interesting because, as I mentioned, we have this Waves DAO based on Power Protocol, and I don't have a lot of voting power in it. So I have some tokens, like 10, and the other is like less than 1% of all governance.
So the votes depend on the amount of capital you have in it yourself, and you yourself capital in it, meaning other people have more decision power than you have yourself.
Yeah, I just talked to people, and actually I was able to push through several proposals just by talking to people, actually. So because we have like this difficult situation, and it was pretty
like a blockchain congress.
Yes, if I had issued myself a lot of tokens, that wouldn't have helped, because everybody could have seen that, That's it. And the only way to participate
at this point.
Sorry.
All of the tokens been issued at this point, and is there an absolute cap?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting because the governance power is issued through the governance process. You might issue more governance power, but you have to make a proposal. This is I'm talking about Waves DAO. As for Waves itself, miners also vote on inflation. And it's pretty interesting because I've made a proposal recently to increase the inflation sharply. And because I saw reasons for that, but the community has not supported it. And probably this like yeah. So it's like, people are saying that like I control everything on Waves. And guys, it's not like that. If you're like,
you're not a captain with absolute power, you're more of a steward in this case.
Yes. I'm kind of like, in my Twitter bio, it says like in charge of Waves ecosystem. Maybe it's
are all proponents completely tied to this? Say, is there anything that people could not vote on that is fixed, or can literally anything be voted on within?
Anything can be voted on. Anything can be voted on,
including the project.
Yes, and when I was able to basically convince people, they voted for the proposals, but that was done through discussion. That's it. So I voted for the proposals myself, but I don't have much governance power. Yeah. So I vote, of course, but it doesn't move the needle. I have to explain, I have to convince, I have to persuade the rest of the community. And usually I'm successful.
If anyone wants to ask anything, they would have to talk to people, present their case, make arguments. It's democracy.
That's how it works. That's how it works. And that's how it should work. In other DAOs, like you have like this like infamous simple DAO model when you just vote with your token balance, and the more tokens you have, the more governance power you have. So basically, you can, for example, if you have some treasury DAO, you can vote for a grant to your own project, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like it's even worse than real world governance, So it's a very simplistic approach to governance.
This part, since this is proof of stake, and your power or your voting power is tied directly to that, you can't just stake as much as you want. You can't just get all the capital you want, or rather buy all the tokens because it's only a limited amount. And if you want to get more on this or that, you have to vote on it. So it's not that easy to get this power.
No, proof of stake is pretty secure because people were questioning the validity of proof of stake when the first proof of stake chains emerged, and they were like saying that, guys, I can buy the power, but it hasn't really happened, because it's in theory it's possible, but it's also possible to buy
51% of any stock company, like Apple.
Yeah,
technically, you can buy Apple.
Yes.
Like
you can have like a lot of electricity, maybe some solar power, electricity, I don't know. And you can potentially control the network, but they also have pools in Bitcoin, because Bitcoin mining works through pools, and pools control actually what transactions should be put into a block, So potentially you can send transactions
directly on the current thing. Your news updates, the most recent announcements, where are those usually found?
I post on Twitter, my personal Twitter, and in Units Twitter, Waves Twitter. So I have maybe not a huge, but around 150K.
Twitter, Waves
Yeah.
Twitter.
Waves
about
Twitter.
Discord.
Discord, we have Discord. I'm not a big fan of Discord, but I understand that probably it's the best option now.
Yeah,
Because
let's say
Twitter-
I want to talk about people about the law that I want to propose or something. Would you
Yeah.
literally do that in Discord?
Telegram, I use Telegram more, so like
Or
it's
Telegram.
Telegram. Yeah, I understand that probably like it's more or less like thing that like is because it's more or less like a Russian thing because I was living in Russia and most Russians use Telegram and there's like but Telegram is growing really fast now and I like what they're doing in terms of like onboarding of Web2
Is it the
audience.
same for like support requests or any technical things? Do you have on Telegram? You have you have subgroups, and one is support,
Yeah.
one is main chat. You know.
Yeah, we are like different groups. Yeah, so you can have this set up on Telegram, as I know, but you can have multiple groups, which is not so nice. But yeah, okay. So I think I'm gonna be using Discord more because I always use Discord for internal communication. Like
Yeah, I see. So Telegram is more one channel, big announcements, and like a main chat to discuss, but the actual discussions and everything happen on Discord.
Yeah. So this is like Discord is important.
And there are moderators involved as well.
Mhm.
Do you have your own Discord moderators as well, or is it more on a small?
Sure. Yeah. For Units, we launched Discord, and for I think this is like one Discord for Waves and Units. So actually, we didn't have Discord before for Waves, but I think it's time to do that.
How did you discover on Waves before?
Sorry.
Before communication about Waves was stationed on Telegram.
Mostly on Telegram, yeah. So somehow I don't know. I'm used to Telegram more than to Discord somehow. And when you have like those multiple channels of communication, it's hard, you know. So you usually pick one because when you are everywhere, like your attention span, yeah, really like struggles with all those different channels.
For in-person meetings like side events you mentioned, you're probably going to organize some, but since the teams are now spread all over the world with the whole Russia situation, everything's probably going to be around Dubai and centered where you guys are now. But for side events like in September around Token 2049, there's side events that you're going to organize when people want to meet you and other people who have power in this project in person. That's where to find you guys, right?
Yes. In Dubai, maybe not so many people in Dubai now. Most of the team left. And Dubai is very expensive. I'm thinking, well, yeah. So I'm not only in Dubai. I'm coming to Europe.
Central Asia could also be an option given the whole Russian-speaking background, like Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, right? Especially since it has direct airlines to say Singapore, Vietnam, Southeast Asia in general, Japan, Korea, right? So like.
Yeah, I think we're gonna be like properly decentralized. I'm not gonna. Because we, as I said, we have like a huge office in Moscow, and I'm not gonna repeat it, you know. So I'm not interested. I just want to keep things really decentralized, and I like interacting with different teams. Currently, I'm not in my own office. This is the office of my friends. Everybody left for the summer. I'm alone in the office. You know, so.
If we talk about Units and Waves, there is no kind of off-ramping or anything like that. It has nothing to do with that. So regulatory bodies are not going to get into your way.
No, so I'm not gonna be dealing with fiat payments. Never in my life. No. I had some interaction.
For projects where you get the token and you try to sell it on an exchange, and then you try to off-ramp your fiat, but usually that's just circumvented by you yourself.
I'm not gonna be selling anything, you know. So I'm just want to, you know, not. My goal is not to sell any tokens, actually. So. Of course, like financial sustainability is important, but of course, people use centralized exchanges to offload their tokens. So that's why we need centralized exchanges. You know? But this is not what I'm planning to do. So in terms of like regulation, I'm not so worried because I definitely won't deal with any kind of like fiat on ramps, and it's not my thing because we did something. It wasn't really successful, and in the future, I will just collaborate with people who do that professionally. So I'm not going to be dealing with those complications, and I just want to focus on the core product and to work on like decentralization, scalability, on the things that really interest me.
Yeah, thanks for watching.